All right, welcome everyone to City Council meeting for Monday, April the 12th. If we could have a roll call to establish quorum, please, ma'am, Madam Clerk.
Harry Meyer,
Here.
Laura Jo Smoley,
Here.
Melissa Green,
Here.
Terry McClung,
I'm here.
Autumn Slane,
Here.
Bill Lott is absent with notice. We have 5.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
I move.
We got any additions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 22nd, 2021.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion, additions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We got a couple of vacancies on our commissions. We've got a vacancy for planning. If anybody out there in TV land or hear about, know someone who'd like to be considered on the planning commission, please call and get an application and submit it for the planning commission. That same is true for the hospital. We have one in the hospital and also one for the parks. So please, if you're interested in any of those, please let us know. We'd be glad to have you put in an application. Susan Hubbard is interested in continuing her position on parks. Her position does expire May the 1st, but she does want to go ahead and continue.
So should I make a motion?
Sure, we can.
I will make a motion to keep Susan Hubbard or renominate her to continue on in, I don't know what, position 5 until May of 26.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
I saw Ms. Hubbard on Sunday, and she's really looking forward to continuing on. Very enthusiastic.
Oh,
She's a great addition, I think.
okay. Fantastic.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, got anybody for public hearing, public comments? I don't see anybody jumping up and running over to the microphone. So, all right. We have no unfinished business. So our first item is discussion of the vision plan. Get a motion to discuss.
I move to make a motion to discuss the vision plan.
I talked to Chairperson Ann Salee about this, and she's going to come to our next meeting. I don't know if we have any comments or anything that y'all want to talk about or any questions, but if you do, what I might suggest is that if you want to put them in some sort of a form of a question or something, I would be glad to get that to her, and then we can discuss it at our next meeting when she comes in.
Well, I want to comment, they've done a really good job. I'm very pleased with what they've come up with.
I think so, and I know Ms. Smoley was involved with, I think you were
Some of
part
that.
of that, part of this, and I think they've taken what the city council was asking last year and come up and to do this. But again, if anybody has any comments or questions, I think we can go ahead and look at this. Mr. McClung?
Well, this is, I mean, there's a lot of pages here, a lot of territory to cover, so I was just thinking it might be better if something that we did in a little workshop between us and them before we brought it here, so, I mean, so that way we could pare it down and not, you know, you have to spend 2, 3, 4 hours here on it here in a meeting necessarily.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. McClung, and also, though, I think in the 15 pages that they've looked at, there's some highlights in through there that I think, again, shouldn't be too difficult if we want to look through it, and if we have any questions, what I would want to do is go ahead and just have her here so we can discuss them, and then later on, we can go ahead and have another public workshop or something.
Okay. Yeah, somebody called me today about having, public meetings for it, so I think that's a great idea, Mr. McClung.
So, all right, any other comments? We will go ahead then on to item number 2, discussion of having only one alderman suggest an agenda item. Ms. Smoley and Mr. Ott's not here, but Ms. Smoley, we got a motion to discuss?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We need a motion in a second.
A motion to discuss the suggestion of having one alderman only can request an agenda item.
I'll second that.
All right, got a motion in a second. So, Ms. Smoley, you want to lead off?
Thank you. When we went to the Zoom meeting put on by the Municipal League, I forget now if it was the end of last month or the beginning of this month, but they did some really great training. And one of the things he mentioned is that on councils that were of 12 people or less, they suggest that only one alderperson might be needed to put an item on the agenda rather than the usual 2. It's not universally done, but I could see the logic of that, especially with 6 of us, and we can't discuss things with each other. So if somebody calls me and I need to bring something up, or I just have a great idea I want to put forward, how do I even talk to another person to get the second to put it on the agenda? It just becomes an exercise in, I'm not even sure what to call it, how to work around things. So, and we're a good group of people working together. If someone brings up an idea and nobody wants to talk about it, well, we won't talk about it. That's it.
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think one person is fine, because then at the meeting, when it's brought up as, once the motion is made to discuss, if it doesn't get a second, it dies anyway, so. So I think one person's plenty.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, you have a comment?
The concern in the past has been the agenda being published a week out so that people are aware of what will be covered at the meeting.
Sure, it needs to be,
So do you want to stick with the cutoff line of Monday afternoon as is presently the case?
I think
Sure.
it needs to be that, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only change would be that like at the end of tonight's meeting, I can ask to put X on the agenda, and I don't.
Then it's
need to
on
tell.
there, right.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of having one person to put things on the agenda, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, passed. All right, we got an ordinance for a face mask. Get a motion to discuss.
I make a motion to discuss.
I'll second.
I think most of y'all realize we are in a position where the COVID pandemic is going down, but we're also seeing places in the north where the virus is going back up again. I think that's because a lot of people are taking this real lightly, and we're not doing what's supposed to be done and should be done. We're also seeing new viruses coming in from South America that are affecting us. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, are not getting their vaccinations. And so I think this is important, at least on a temporary basis, that we continue having some sort of regulation supporting the use of wearing masks in our city. So, Mr. McClung?
2 questions. One, because it's not related to anything that the state has, does it have any teeth?
It has no teeth in the fact, except in the fact that this is taken off the cities of Rogers ordinance, and also kind of parallels Fayetteville's and
Does
several
that
other
mean
cities.
They have teeth over
They
here?
have no teeth in it also.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, it's still up to the individual shop owners. When you go into the shop, if the shop owner does not want you in there without wearing a mask, then it does have teeth.
And I think that the way the state is now, that the shopkeeper has that option anyway.
This gives
At
them a
this
little
point.
bit, this gives them a little bit more
I don't
enforcement,
Well,
consideration on that.
I don't know why it would. If it has no teeth, it has no teeth. But the shopkeeper, you know, if they require a mask, I think still most people are going to respect that. And, you know, either they are or they're not, one way or the other anyway. So, you know, I think we need to leave it up to the shopkeepers to impose that if they wish and move forward.
Mr. Myers?
I've had a couple shop owners mention that it would help them if they told the customer that our city still has a mask ordinance, even though maybe it doesn't have any teeth. It kind of backs them up when they have the mask sign on the door.
Ms. Green?
Okay. And I agree with this, but I've had some shop owners talk to me that really don't want it. Are they, there's no teeth, so they're facing no penalties if they decide they don't want to do it?
No.
Okay. Because I know there's been people downtown that have said, they're enforcing it, you know, they say no mask in my shop, and they've been kind of beat up by people that are going, well, all right. Is it possible, do we still have the bike cops that they have maybe some backup?
They have what?
Some backup. I mean, somebody there that, you know,
We've finally gotten our police department back up to full strength, and we've gotten policemen downtown now.
okay.
So they are there to help educate the people.
Okay, good, because I think that's kind of what they've said to me, is that, you know, they want masks in their shops, and they've had people that have just come in and been horrible or, you know, nasty. And if someone gets really nasty, I like that we've got the police force back and there's someone there that could help them. Okay.
Yes, Ms. Smoley?
One thing I think that the ordinance needs is either a sunset date or a sunset, that this ordinance has a termination, so it just isn't hanging out there until we write another ordinance, taking it off the books. That would hinge on some action by the government, like if the state of emergency, the disaster emergency, when that is terminated by the governor, then this ordinance would go out of effect, something of that nature.
Mr. McClung?
There's already a law in the books that if somebody comes in and is belligerent in your store, you can call the police on them. And that's all you're looking for anyway, because there's no teeth in the ordinance itself. So I think we should just go along with, leave it to the individual shop owner to post their business, whatever it is, whatever type, and let them post it, and people will honor it or they won't, just like they are doing now. So, I mean, the governor's already made his position plain. There's no, as what you suggested, I mean, that's already done. There's no, that deadline's come and gone.
Ms. Green?
How long is your moratorium on events in public places, till June 30th?
It's until June 30th, correct.
Okay.
But there's-
Is it possible to just have this till then, and with the clause that we can keep reinstating it if we pass this?
I think so. Mr. Weaver, can you,
We certainly can put an end date in it if that's council's desire.
yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Because I don't think any of us want to see this continuing on, so I think it's going to and I don't believe we'll have to.
Right.
So I think if we have this at the end of, the end of June, that's, again, May, basically 2 months, 2.5 months.
Well, I believe our enforcement of the mask and no events, and really, I think that's kept us pretty virus-free, and it's kept our business booming, so.
There is no enforcement of the mask. There is none. Don't use that phrase.
There hasn't been really enforcement of the mask, even with the, even when the governor had, I can remember when there was a couple of businesses that, went to court over it and it was thrown out. So this is no different than our previous one, and I think that we ought to go ahead and pass this and maybe have it sunset with the events
I'll just make,
and see what happens with the variants and whether we have a surge or resurgence or whatever.
Autumn?
I just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in. I completely agree with Harry about how it's going to give some people the confidence to say, no, I want the masks. I think that's so true. But in some cases, they don't want to wear the mask anymore and they're done with it. But I do, if you're just saying that we can have this and they can rely on that, or if they don't, then they don't. I think it's good to pass. I like the expiration date.
Mr. Smoley?
I question just the idea behind constructing an ordinance that there is no means of enforcing. I think it's just, if we're going to have a law, it should be enforceable. So I kind of, this is like we're going to make an ordinance about a suggestion, and I find that troublesome.
This is taken off the ordinances that the
I understand that.
the municipal, well, let me finish, please, ma'am, that the municipal league recommended and the other cities in Arkansas have enacted and are using. There is no ordinance in Arkansas that has an enforcement with a penalty clause.
I understand that.
Fayetteville, Arkansas comes close to having one. They also have a 24/7 hotline that's funded with $100,000. They are probably the closest one that has an enforcement, and even they do not have an enforcement clause on it. So this is what we're trying to do, is give our businesses something to say the city has this requirement, and we're recommending it. So while there is no enforcement, and I'm not sure, even if we had an enforcement, whether we could enforce it or not.
Right.
So that's the reason for this. Any other comments? Mr. McClung?
Would it not be as effective really to do just a resolution that says that the city considers it a good idea for, masks to still be continued to be worn, in businesses throughout the town and that kind of thing. And because once it's passed and it's been published in the paper, either way, whether it's a resolution or an ordinance, then it's history anyway. It's, everybody's going to forget about it.
At this point, I think, Mr. McClung, and answer your question, I think with an end date, a sunset clause on here would accomplish the same thing.
I think a resolution would be a whole lot simpler.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would suggest not doing a resolution, because if we were to end up in a lawsuit over this, I think that an ordinance would sustain us better in a court case. Hopefully, it would never come to that, but you are asking the police officers to escort people off if they won't wear a mask and the business owner objects. So they could become involved in a potential for a lawsuit, and I think an ordinance would support them better than a resolution.
Ms. Green?
I have a question for Tim. A sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service, and the person doesn't allow someone in like that, do they have the right to not allow someone into their establishment that isn't following what they want?
If, those are general health violation things, and that's what this would be.
Correct.
And it would, I think it would assist them if they want to say no one can come in without a mask.
Okay.
The same as having up that other type of sign, lets people know that the health regulation for the state, in certain instances where food is being prepared and things, you have to have those type
Okay.
of coverings.
Okay, so this does give them a little bit of teeth, because they would be, if someone said you have to wear a mask, they're kind of trespassing, correct?
And then if they were arrested, it would be for trespassing. It wouldn't be for violating the rule
Okay,
of this
Okay.
ordinance.
all right, thank you.
I believe the no shirt, no shoes is actually a health department issue
Right.
in
And-
restaurants.
Right,
So
but,
it's state law.
right, but the government can, on safety, we have seat belts, we have child seats. The government can decree that we have to do stuff for safety, so, all right.
Mr. Weaver, can you put in a sentence real quick?
I think I've constructed one.
So do you have a motion to actually make the change? Do you want one?
Yeah, I think we do need a motion to make the change, put an end date, sunset clause
You
on
don't,
it.
you don't have a motion for the ordinance yet.
Well, wouldn't be amending this ordinance.
I'll make a motion that we assign this ordinance a number along with the amendment that Mr. Weaver, and read it into passage.
I'll second that.
Terry's got his hand up.
Mr. McClung?
You don't read an ordinance for passage. You got to do 3 readings
Okay,
for
I'll
first reading.
I'll amend that. I'll make a motion that we assign this an ordinance number and read it for its first reading.
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed?
No,
No,
Is that 3-2?
Correct.
I'll vote aye.
4-2. The ordinance number will be 2307, an ordinance by the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas regarding the use of masks in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, providing for the emergency clause and for other purposes. Whereas an outbreak of COVID-19, coronavirus, has resulted in an ongoing global pandemic, and whereas the June 18, 2020 Executive Order 2037, declaring that the public health and disaster emergency and declaring the state of Arkansas as a disaster area resulting from the statewide impact of COVID-19 was declared anew and would be effective for 60 days unless renewed. And whereas on June 19, 2020, the Arkansas Department of Health, ADH, released guidance regarding the use of face masks covering by the general public, which asserts that ample evidence exists to support the efficacy of wearing face masks to prevent transmission of COVID-19, included as a World Health Organization-funded study. And whereas the aforementioned ADH guidance on masks recommends that the general public should wear face coverings in all indoor environments where they are exposed to non-household members, and distancing of 6 feet or more cannot be assured. This includes, but is not limited to, workspaces, retail stores, businesses, places of worship, courtrooms, jails, prisons, schools, healthcare facilities, and other people's homes. And whereas the aforementioned ADH guidance recommends that the general public should also wear face mask coverings in all outdoor settings where there is exposure to non-household members unless there exists ample space of 6 feet or more to practice physical distancing. And whereas Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson supports and encourages the usage of facial coverings to curb the spread of COVID-19. And whereas the United States Supreme Court has long recognized state and local control over the spread of infectious diseases and gave broad leeway in responding to these threats in Jacobson versus Massachusetts, 192 U.S. 11 in 1905. And whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention encouraged the use of cloth face coverings to curb the spread of COVID-19, and whereas individuals infected with COVID-19 are often asymptomatic and may unknowingly transmit the virus to other individuals, and whereas the health of employees and patrons of reopened businesses is directly threatened by individuals who enter such establishments without a facial covering. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that Section 1, upon consultation with various state and local officials, the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas shall require the usage of facial coverings according to ADH guidance in an effort to help curb the spread of COVID-19, in particular to protect the most vulnerable members of our community, as well as to ensure that the hard-won progress made by the citizens of Arkansas in reopening our shared economy is preserved. Section 2, the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas has hereby determined that local law enforcement and other city officials will act in a support capacity to local businesses that enforce the use of masks upon their premises. Law enforcement, acting in such a support capacity, shall educate and encourage members of the public who decline to wear facial coverings regarding the efficacy of wearing such coverings according to the ADH guidance on facial coverings released on June 19, 2020. Law enforcement may additionally act in a support capacity to local businesses by educating individuals who decline to comply with the facial covering requirements of any local business that the individuals must abide by that requirement or leave the premises. Section 3, the Eureka Springs City Council is hereby directed to print and mail the Eureka Springs City Clerk is hereby directed to print and mail this ordinance to all businesses within the municipal limits as soon as practical for display in a prominent area of the business or on the primary entranceway.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, do you need another motion?
Motion
Yeah.
to approve
I'll make a motion to approve.
on
Do you
first
want
reading.
to
What?
hear, do you want to hear the sunset clause?
Yes.
As part of it first?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would read, and we'll have to figure out exactly which section to put it in, but it'll read that the ordinance shall remain in full force and effect until, and the date you chose or we're discussing was June 30th, 2021, at which time the ordinance shall expire unless further action has been taken by City Council.
Mr. Mayor, is that an addendum or amendment, or is that an inclusion?
It would be an amendment, I believe, Mr. McClung. Madam Clerk, did you get that?
Tim's phrase?
Did you?
Tim's addition?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I think what we need is someone to make a motion to approve amending the first reading.
I'll make a motion to approve amending the first reading.
Okay. As per Mr.
For what purpose? I think you need to state it.
Oh, for putting a sunset clause of June 30th, 2021, unless further action is taken.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. We do that by voice?
The amendment, yes, then we need to back up to getting a second for the approval of the first.
Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
No.
I vote aye. Okay, now we'll need
Okay.
a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2307 on its first reading, along with the amendment
As amended?
as amended.
A second?
Okay. Ms. Green made a motion, and Mr. Myers seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I'm only hearing two.
Autumn, what's your vote?
Aye.
No, three. Okay. Those opposed?
No,
No.
Okay, 3-2, I'll vote aye.
I make a motion that we suspend the rules and read ordinance 230
Seven.
on its second reading by title only, as amended.
I'm sorry, what ordinance are you talking about?
I make a motion to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2307
Oh,
on
okay.
its second reading with the amended motion by title only.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second. Further discussion?
I'll second that.
Okay.
What did you say?
She said she seconded.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Nope,
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoley?
No.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
3-2?
Yes.
4-2? Ordinance number 2307, an ordinance by the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas regarding the use of masks in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, providing for the emergency clause and for other purposes.
I'll make a motion to pass ordinance number 2307 on its second reading as amended.
You get a second?
Second?
All right, discussion? Ms. Smoley?
I just like a little clarification on Section 2, that we've determined that local law enforcement and other city officials will act in the support capacity. What other city officials would be assigned that?
Well, it could be basically the law enforcement officers. Mr. Weaver, you got any other?
Well, I would suggest that that would additionally cover our volunteer police and our ones that are not full officers yet. It also would cover the mailing that's required by the city clerk's office, and any help that the clerk might have could be needed, could be added there. And it would allow City Hall to answer questions from shop owners who had questions about the use of the ordinance.
Any further question, Ms. Smoley?
No, thank you.
All right. I think we got a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2307 on second reading. No further discussion, roll call?
Ms. Smoley?
No.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
no,
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
3-2?
Yes.
4-2?
Actually, I misread that. I think it was a motion to read for,
Actually, Melissa did move to approve and Harry did
Oh,
second, so
okay.
you're good.
all right.
So are we on to the third?
Yes.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2307 on its third reading by title only as amended.
Second?
Okay. Ms. Green made the motion, Mr. Meyer seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr.
Hearing
McClung?
none.
no,
Ms. Smoley?
No.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
3-2?
Yes.
4-2. Ordinance number 2307, an ordinance by the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas regarding the use of face masks in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, providing for the emergency clause and for other purposes.
I'll make a motion that we enact the emergency clause on
We need
ordinance.
a motion to
Oh,
approve. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2307 on its third reading.
Okay, got a motion, do I need to have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Ms. Lane, second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Molay?
No.
Mr. McClung?
No.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
3-2?
Yes.
4-2.
I'll make a motion to enact the emergency clause on ordinance 2307.
Second.
All right, Ms. Green made motion and Ms. Lane seconded to enact the emergency ordinance. Any discussion?
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Ms. Molay?
No.
Mr. McClung?
No.
3-2?
Yes.
4-2. Emergency clause, section 4. An emergency is declared to exist because of the need for immediate response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The emergency factors considered in declaring an emergency are the infection rate of COVID-19, the rapid use of protective equipment across all sectors, the fatality rate, and the fatality rate if the virus is left unchecked. Wherefore, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and for the public safety, health, and welfare, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from the date of passage and approval. Section 5, Separability Provision. If any part of this ordinance is held invalid, the remainder of the ordinance shall continue in effect as if such invalid portions never existed. Section 6, Repeal of confliction provisions. All ordinances, resolutions, or orders of the City Council or parts of the same in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
All right. That brings us to our agenda setting. Anyone? All right, hearing nothing right now, then go to the City Council comments. Ms. Smoley?
I'm looking forward to moving forward with the vision plan and using their document as an excellent starting point to make some major moves into 21st century.
Ms. Green?
I too am looking forward to the discussion of the vision plan. I also want to say, this last ordinance was hard, and I understand the reasons for it, and I think for the people that want people to wear masks in their businesses, it gives them at least a little something. But I want people to really think and respect one another and don't attack one another. I think we can get through this. There's light in the end of the tunnel. Let's just, try to be good to one another and realize that we're all in this together.
All right. Ms. Lane?
No comment.
Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, there's some fatigue over the restrictions with this virus, but, the variants that are out there, it could still have a surge, so I think this is a good ordinance to, you never know, the governor may change his mind next week if we have a big surge, and we're already there, so I think we've done right.
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, once again, I said in this beautiful old auditorium, and I'm longing for the opportunity to listen to live music in here once again. I look forward to it.
Well, I have to echo the same comments around the table, and especially what Mr. McClung's saying. I'm looking forward to us being able to have the live performance in the auditorium and in the Basin Park and other places around town. I know as we're all getting tired of the COVID and wearing masks and doing the things, but I think this is for our own not only for our own protection, but also for our visitors. And there's just no telling with the people coming in from out of state what's going to happen in through here. So I think it's important for us to carry through with what we're doing here, and I appreciate the council going through and passing this. So, other than that, I call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right.
All right, so moved. Thank you all.